Red light therapy is as a pain management tool, right? It's natural, it's non-invasive. I want to get people away from drugs. If you can fix yourself on a cellular level, that's where you're going to start seeing some long-lasting change. I've seen them heal and have no pain with devices that are not even 100th of the power of what I've created. Do you want to try out? And I was like, yeah, I was just,
Let's go.
let's do it. Yeah. All right, yeah, let's go. Let's
Savage.
go
I'm
now.
a savage, man. Let's go. All right, welcome to the New Age Human Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Astacio, and today we're talking with John Graham, who is a seasoned certified master trainer and leader in the fitness industry with over 15 years under his belt. We'll discuss his experiences with sports and fitness injuries and explore how he's leveraging red light therapy to enhance health benefits and improve athletic recovery. Now, before we begin, if you want to be alerted to more content and you like what you're seeing when see more, just like and subscribe wherever you're listening or watching, and send feedback and questions via newagehuman.com. Now, with that said, let's get to the show. Right, John Graham, thank you for coming to the show. How's it going, man?
Thank you. Yeah, I really, obviously, I very much appreciate the opportunity to share. It's a big help. I'm obviously running a business. I've gone through so many grinds. So whenever I'm able to share on a platform, it's always much appreciated. I'm gaining access to your audience, to your listeners. You've built that trust, and I'm very glad that you've transferred that trust over to me, and I'm able to share. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. I was actually seeking for someone that has some innovative technology and maybe alternative health, and you're like a double whammy. I'm like, oh, we got to get this guy on. I am definitely interested in getting into what you're working on now, but before we go into it, I want to get into what you were doing before you started what you're doing now. Before
Yeah,
you started like with the technology, the inventions, the alternative health.
yeah,
Um, let's unpack that. You're an athlete. What started your journey?
yeah. I mean, I guess if where it all started was a skinny boy with red hair, white skin, freckles. You can imagine, not much going for him, and he's thinking like, "Jace, I need to get my shit figured out here. I need to, plant my flag. Who am I? What's my purpose?" So I gravitated towards the gym. When you're building muscle, you're putting on this muscle, you're putting on armor, and the armor protects that insecure little scared, unconfident boy that I was. And this is like, over all the years, competing, having a lot of trials, lots of injuries, I've sort of identified, you become more self-aware and you kind of track back where your whole journey came from, and you sort of understand more about the hero's journey that we all have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like when I went into bodybuilding and I was competing, I met a lot of bodybuilders, and some of these guys were very famous, very competent, like very, very well known, champions. But I remember getting to know them very intimately. You realize that they're just protecting that little child, right? Because you train together, you boost each other up. Come on, get going, and you realize that they were not very, very confident. And I kind of realized, like, wow, all these bodybuilders are like that. The bigger these guys are, the smaller that little teddy bear is inside. So, going back to me, that's very much how I was. I kind of realized, like, well, that's how I was. That's how I started. So, going through my history and going back, I obviously got very fit. I wanted to compete. I wanted to show how how I could dominate in something, in an activity, in a sport. So I got into rugby. And my coach at the time, he sort of said I had a lot of promise. He said, keep doing what you're doing, and you could be going into the leagues. And as an Australian, Australians, you need to play cricket, they surf or play rugby. You got to do one of these things, right? That's
Yeah.
what the Aussies do. So being a good rugby player kind of was something I wanted to be, kind of to help my my Aussie identity, hang out with the boys, have some beers, and then play a bit of, get some rugby on. But I remember my first tour going out, I popped my shoulder and had like a microfracture on my shoulder bone, which is obviously really was a real downer because a tour, when you're on tour, you've left your club, you're going out to play against other clubs, and you're with the whole team, and you've all flown over, you've kind of, you're all like in this jolly mode, camaraderie mode, and then you're the guy that gets seriously injured. And it was, I mean, the medics on the field couldn't fix it. I had to go to a hospital, which is a
Yikes.
real pain. But after about 6 months of rehabbing that, I went back out and I popped the other shoulder. It wasn't as bad of an injury, but it
Uh-huh.
basically was like, it was very clear, like, don't play rugby. This isn't your sport, you know? So I was like, where am I going to go from here? I need to play something. I need to do something. I need to compete. I need to keep, this is my identity, right? You're messing with, I got to figure myself out here. So I went into CrossFit, which was, it was quite trendy at the time. It was getting, it was becoming, everyone wanted to compete in it. It was kind of the new thing. Is it a sport or is it not a sport? It is a sport, it was very like, CrossFit still is. It's very like, tribe mentality. You would gather with your other fellow trainees and you support your local box or whatever it was. But I just wanted to compete. I was very interested in the competitive side because it was, people that were competing in CrossFit were considered the beasts, the savages, right? So I was like, yeah, that'll be me. I'll do that. But just, it's like gym workouts, but in a sport format with a leaderboard and scores. Is kind of it's done it, but it is just basically gym workouts, right? But it's high volume, high load. If you're doing a CrossFit workout and you're competing, it isn't just about doing a lot of reps very fast. You also have to lift heavier weights, which kind of makes it the competitive side, like where you're competing in the top tiers is when there's a lot of weight added to those high number workouts,
That
right?
that does sound like a sport because you have a
Yeah.
score. I guess you could technically call something a sport if you have a scoreboard because like there's
Yes.
teams.
That's right. There's teams, and by making the top score, you then progress on to the next thing, right? And then the bottom ones get left out, right? It's a format that now is obviously extremely popular. But yeah, my knees weren't liking it. They basically, especially my left knee, after a while, it just was damaged so much that even to sit down for an extended period of time, say 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the knee would get really, really sore. And I would have to straighten it out. I have to lubricate it. I would always be wearing different bandages. I was using heat therapy, cold therapy. I was trying to always just keep the joint lubricated because how it would get sore is if it was just stationary. If it would kind of, and especially obviously with the cold weather, right? It kind of like, it was a bit of arthritis in that knee. But
Man.
but then yeah, so that basically took me out of CrossFit, and then during that time I fell in love with boxing, and I remember where was I? I think I was in Shanghai. Yeah, I was in Shanghai, China, and I was seeing a friend. He was an architect for a big Dubai firm, and I opened up many gyms. I had like 6 gyms that I opened up, and a lot of them had a combat side to it. So I was very familiar with combat, but I would primarily do wrestling. I was more into the wrestling side, the MMA, because MMA was another thing that everyone was talking about. So, but he was into boxing. I remember going to his studio, and there was a coach, like a famous Dutch coach, and there was like a fight on, and she was like, "Oh, do you want to sign up? Do you want to try out?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was just,
Let's
you
go.
know, let's do it. Yeah, all right, yeah, let's go. Let's go
Savage. I'm
now.
a savage, man. Let's go.
But I remember that fight. I won that fight, and I was like, "Whoa, this is my thing." Like, it's like when you play golf. When you play golf, you got 18 holes. All you need to do is shoot 2 good holes, and you somehow think that golf is your sport. It's like, when it's like you hit one and it's good, and you're like, it's the most amazing feeling. And then it's like bad shot, bad shot, bad shot, bad shot, and then it's one good shot, and you're like, I'm still got it, right? It's
You forgot
you
about all the other horrific decisions and bad shots. That's funny.
Yeah, I just somehow got it in my head like boxing. Yeah, this is it. I mean, I was pretty, I was good for my weight from, for the level that I was fighting and for, where I came from. But doing amateurs and fighting for a number of years, I started to get headaches, and I would
I can
have
imagine.
like a point in my head here would really hurt, and it would, sort of start to affect my eye, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then it would come to my back. It was these little points. It was like someone was pushing their finger into my brain. And then I went to the doctor. I was like, just let's just have a check. Let's just make sure everything's in order. And he saw that there was a tumor in my head,
Oh,
and he said it was caused by micro traumas to the brain. Because he said, like, did you fall when you were a kid? Did you have like a serious fall or injury? Were you in a car accident? And I was like, no, it's not. I mean, I do boxing. And he was like, well, yeah, that's probably if you get hit a lot, you're creating micro traumas, and this tumor's developed. It's not benign, but it's growing to your brain, and it could kill you.
oh,
And we need to get it out, because as it grows, it gets difficult to remove this tumor, and it's pushing itself into your brain. And I was like, well, how long? And he was like, well, like, I don't know how long, but you need to get it done this year. This year, we need the surgery done. So I had this surgery finished, and it came out. It was like the size of, the top of my thumb. It was about that big. And I remember thinking like, wow, that was not supposed to be there. But after that, he was just like, the doctor told me, like, do not do any, contact sports, impact sports. You're just not conditioned for it. And then I kind of had a bit of a downer, like wasn't feeling. I was like, well, what's my thing then? But I found bodybuilding, and bodybuilding is very safe. Bodybuilding is just dieting. It's just dieting, right? But I remember the last competition I did. You get what's called a salt rebound, like a water rebound. Sorry. And because you've got rid of all the fat, and now you're trying to get rid of all the water. You're trying to dry so that when you look at the muscle, you don't see any, and there's no liquid. It's just skin and muscle, right? It's
that's
like
insane.
this real dry look. And when you're drying your body out, and you're like, next competition, next competition, next competition, you're going through a large period of time where you're dry. You're basically, what happened to my body, it just gave up. So I had like a water rebound, and I started to bloat,
Oh
and my
wow.
neck got it big and puffy. It's like it was swollen, and my eyes got really big, and my wrists, my ankles, everything kind of bloated out.
Huh.
And I was and this happened like this the peak week before the weekend, right, which is the competition. That's when it started to get really bad. And I was like, damn, I can't compete like this. Like, I'm bloated. I look like I look like I look like I've got a disease, like something serious, you know. And but I was like, oh, I could let it might go away, it might go away. And I kept trying all these things to get the water out. And in the end, I took a diuretic. And a diuretic is a pill you take to help you get rid of water. They're very, very dangerous pills. And usually when they're not really encouraged, it's kind of like the underground dark
Yeah.
side of bodybuilding. They're kind of like old school. Most coaches now, when they coach you to bodybuild, they refuse to use diuretics. They don't endorse diuretics because they're
Mm.
very powerful, right? You piss, and they're dangerous because after competition you have to do a protocol to make sure that your heart doesn't stop.
Oh my
Um,
God, that's nuts.
but yeah, I was like so desperate to get rid of this water. So the night before the competition, I popped this diuretic,
Oh
and
God.
the water was going out, the water was pissing out. And I was like, this is, and what you do is you can't not, so every time, the amount of water that you piss out is the amount of water you drink. And you try to create this sort of water circulation. You can't just let your body, because then, something serious could happen. So
Right.
I was told, like, drink and piss, drink, piss, drink, piss, like keep getting the water out. And then came to
Never
the
leave the
day.
bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't sleep the whole night. It was just
Oh my
every
God.
every 5 minutes, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, it was just piss, 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 and then piss, piss, piss. And I bought like 6 large bottles of water, and I put them right next to the toilet just so could roughly measure what was I drinking
Yeah.
versus I was pissing. Um, but I remember I remember going on stage, and I was like, I think I'm okay. Like, I think I'm not I don't look as good as I did on the other competitions, but I'll survive it. And I remember doing, the full poses and everything. And my wife was filming me in the audience area, right? And
Yeah.
when it was done, I came and I looked at the phone what she was filming, and the first picture she saw, I was like, oh my God. Like I was like, because it's funny how what you think of yourself
Yeah.
versus how you are on stage with the lights, with everything. And I was just like, oh, okay, I should have stayed home.
You
But
were
it was
still like, what did you see versus what did you feel?
oh,
Like, what did you?
yeah, like the competition I did before that was probably the best I've ever pushed myself to. And
Yeah.
then that was like the worst. It was the
Oh,
exact I was
jeez.
like, there's two different people. Like, what the
Wow.
hell? What the hell? Why would you do that? Um, but yeah, it was a really good lesson. It was humbling. Obviously, sort of you have to learn to embrace those things, right? Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
pushed yourself. You had three good competitions. I had like um, I averaged I averaged second place in everything.
That's good. That's
So I was
really
like, come
good.
on, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have the world still, there's ups and downs. So I kind of bit it and said, all right, that was fun, but now it's time to get back to work. But really throughout that whole time, as doing competitions, suffering injuries, suffering losses, and those were sort of the major injuries that I remember were the most mentally difficult to deal with. Um, Throughout that time, I discovered red light therapy,
Mm.
and my wife actually introduced me to red light therapy. So she introduced me to this lamp, and it was kind of a lamp that you would put by your bed, except it was black, it was ugly, it was a very old school sort of thing that you would buy, some dark street, or you'd find it in like Batman's lair to
Right next to
torture.
the guy that sold the diuretics, whatever you want to call it. The big
Yes,
um
yes,
like what do you call the big jackets where he's just kind of like I got
yeah.
this, I got that, I got a lamp.
Quick, be quick. Don't show anyone. Yeah, it looked very
Knock three
dodgy.
times.
But this lamp was like, it was very old technology, but it was light therapy. And the bulb was big, it was big and red, and it would heat up. The bulb would heat up. And my wife told me, put this on your knee, because that was where we started using it, was on my left knee. She said, put it on your knee 20 minutes before bed. I promise you're gonna feel great. And I thought, oh, it's some feng shui, because my wife's Chinese, right? So I was
Mm.
like, all right, okay, we'll give this a try. I'm sure, I just need to appease her, right? But after
Happy
a
wife.
week, yeah, happy wife, happy life. But after a week, it stopped hurting, and 2 weeks later, I didn't need the thing anymore. And the reason I knew is because by
Whoa.
sitting down, that seated position, that where my feet were at that angle and my knees were at that angle, I didn't have the pain anymore. I didn't have that excruciating pain where, I would have to stretch my legs out and rub oil, massage them, and try to get the pain away. I didn't have that. It was gone. And I
How
thought
much
it was
of
the
I'm actually I'm curious and sorry to interrupt, but before you applied the red light therapy to your knee, how long, like what was your daily routine so that you can be functionally normal? I'm curious.
Oh, yeah. I mean, taking a taxi before using that, like I would have do you know this like cream you get it at Walgreens? It's called Deep Heat. It's like
I've heard of it, yeah.
it's like a and this, when you apply it to the skin, it heats up. It creates it drives a lot of heat to that area, and blood, obviously the circulation, blood is
Mm.
healing. It's a very easy temporary solution to a pain issue. If your shoulder's bad, I would just deep heat. I would carry deep heat with me. I would have that in my bag, like ever since I was a young aspiring athlete. Like I had that in my bag. I would try Tiger Balm. I would have heat patches, but heat is sort of a quick, short-term pain relief.
Temporary,
That I
yeah.
would use. Like that's kind of how I would do it. And I just thought, like, I mean, that's the only way to do it. That's how athletes do it. They kind of, put the heat on, get the get the muscle lubricated, go out, play, and then that's what you do. You just always make sure you have deep heat. That's what you do. Of course, I didn't realize about addressing the problem on a cellular level, which is what light does. About mitochondria health, I didn't know about any of that. Like that was all news to me. I was very much a kid that didn't want to listen to anybody, and I thought, I'll just muscle my way through it. Like in the Chinese zodiac, I'm a cow. Niu is cow, right? And cows are known to be very bullish, to just work, to like, the way I'll fix it is just to work it, right? It's kind of like a more of a work hard rather than a work smart kind of a
I know,
personality.
I know
And
exactly what you're
looking,
talking about.
yeah, looking back, that was definitely me growing up as an athlete, wanting to compete, and I was just the harder I worked, the more I push myself, the better it'll be, right?
So
My results.
you had the red light therapy on your knee, and it took you 2 weeks
Yeah,
to
the
heal.
neck
Now,
is
is
nuts.
that like no pain, and then, or what was there any type of like maintenance after that? Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it was really what sparked the whole, like, what just happened there? What was that all about? What is light therapy? I mean, there's red light, there's infrared light, there's far, far light. There's different spectrums of light. There's so much in light therapy, and just it's in photobiomodulation. It's a very big space, and learning about it, meeting scientists, connecting with people that were building applications for light therapy, it became very an interesting journey, and one that led me down to the road to launching my own product, which is the LumaFlex, which is a portable device that I wish I had when I was going through those injuries as a young athlete. So it's very portable, and it's red and near infrared. So it's 850 nanometers for infrared and 630 for red light. And those are nanometers that have a lot of clinical research behind them that have proven to, not just help with surface level pain, like if you've been punched, you got a bruise, if you've done boxing, but also like deep chronic pain that you have in your joints. And yeah, like just having a device that was portable was very important to me. It was extremely important to me. It's an FDA class 2 device, the one I built. And yeah, it's the story of how that product came to be is the story of how, just all the pain that I've gone through. And that's obviously, yeah, talking about the sports side of it. But, something also to address with red light therapy is not just where I talk about red light therapy is as a pain management tool, right? It's natural, it's non-invasive. I want to get people away from drugs. I want to get people away from evasive means of like, you don't have to have surgery on your knee. Like, don't do surgery unless you've at least looked at light therapy, right?
Right.
This is the message that I really I feel very passionate about. But the red light therapy, there are other people, other scientists, other people that run companies where red light therapy is used in a mindfulness application, to support meditation, to support, de-stressing, to help with anxiety. Because when you go, wow, it's amazing when you go into light therapy,
So let's go into
you,
the science of this, because you're saying like it
yeah,
recovers and helps you heal, and then also helps you relax. So what's the
yeah,
science behind it? Like you said, you've done a lot of like meetings with different scientists and patents.
yes.
What's happening to the body? What's happening to the muscles when you apply red light? And then if you want to get into, because you have red light, and then I think you said infrared. So let's go with red light. What's going on there?
Yeah, like if I would love to introduce you to some photobiomodulation scientists to be on this show, because when you hear from there, you get the real juicy science. You get the big hamburger. How you can bite into that science. You're like, wow, this is whoa, you're holding your brain together because you don't want it to explode because it's so awesome. What you're learning. Um, but
Now I'm
I
hungry.
come the background I've come from, how I communicate the science, right? It's very much in a way that I try to package it in a way that would be understood to me when I was younger. In my early 20s, what is this whole light therapy, this
Yeah.
pseudoscience? Like, don't throw at me this hippie shit. Like, come on, what is it? And I'll say, listen, red light therapy is from the sun. It's from the sun, right? It's from the sun. When you live in Thailand or when you're in Miami, right? My head office is in Miami. We have those beautiful sunrises and those sunsets, right? And that color, that beautiful dark red, and that orange, that's red and infrared light. So that's when the light is at the right length to be able to penetrate your skin and activate the mitochondria. We're human beings. We're made up of cells, billions of cells. The powerhouse, the engine of that cell is the mitochondria. Now, if we're giving energy to the mitochondria, the cell can do what it's supposed to do. The cell can do its job. So when we're talking about healing, when we're talking about pain relief, right? Pain management, it's not the light that heals you. It's the light that gives your cells energy to heal themselves. That's how it works. That's in the simplest way to
Yeah.
understand. When you're like, how I was putting those creams on,
Yeah.
my knees and for my shoulders, right? And you getting you're driving blood. Yes, it's a very temporary solution for your pain. But what you want to do is you want to look at your pain and you want to address the pain on a cellular level. If you can fix yourself on a cellular level, that's where you're going to start seeing some long-lasting change. And I've seen some amazing stories, and stories that I get very emotional about. People that have dealt with pain for so many years. Well, I pulled my back, back in the war, or this I've had this since my college ball days, right? These issues, these pains that they've dealt with, as that our parents, our grandparents have dealt with, that it seems like they have no other than just dealing with it. They have no other solution. And I've seen them healed and have no pain with devices that are not even 1/100th of the power of what I've created.
Wow.
And it's natural. It's not, you can't overdose on it. It's light. It's light. And when you go into it and when you trace it back to Egyptian times and the Romans, how you start like, oh, and then NASA discovered it in space when they were trying to heal, when they were trying to grow plants, and then the astronauts saw, oh, it was healing abrasions. And then you see it now in beauty, the LED masks, right? You see the girls wearing the LED masks. That's just light therapy, right? You sort of see it starts to all like, wow, I got to you feel very privileged to know and be abreast of this information. And I'm very much at the forefront of any new technology that comes out or to do with light therapy. I'll know about it. I have the relationships, I have the network, I have the partnerships, because I'm very, very much passionate about it.
Yeah,
And I
man.
want to creating more light therapy devices that support every kind of pain. And it's just, the frustrating thing is just getting the message out. It's getting the word out that, because people again, oh, what, I have a drug. I want to take it. There's a drug, and the drug gets my pain away instantly. It's like, it doesn't get it. It temporarily it addresses the issue, but then you're creating another problem here because you're now becoming very addicted to that temporary pain, right? This can lead down a very dangerous path, right? And then you're saying, look, this is natural, and if it's natural, it's probably not going to work. This attitude is so frustrating, but it's just the milestone that we all in photobiomodulation have to overcome, and we're just going to keep going until it's become a widely used means of treatment for any and all kinds of pain. And not only that, but think about anxiety, right? Think about depression. Think about these conditions with your brain. Why are they caused? Where is this coming from? Why is this happening more so now than before? Is it because that perhaps we're not, exposing ourselves to good light from the sun, but we're instead, exposing ourselves to bad light, right? Artificial light, which is like from your phone,
A lot of blue
from
light.
blue light, right? And we're sort of not following our circadian rhythm. We would wake up as primal human beings. We'd wake up when the beautiful sunrise would come. We'd get our energy, right? And this would also protect us for the later rays throughout the day, right? The more intense rays of light. And then when the sun went down, that would be our circadian rhythm would tell us time to go to bed, right? And this was our in our biology, right? Wake up, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep. And we would sit around campfires and we'd have that red light from the fire, right? That would, and this again would just encourage us to wind down, to turn off, right? But now we're up late watching TikTok or some other nonsense, and we're all like, and we're wired, and we're doing it from a very young age. And this is creating anxiety, creating depression, creating things where people are like, I feel bad, I feel depressed, but I don't know why. I don't know why. Nothing bad has happened to me. I feel, my dog didn't die. My parents still love me. I still have a job. I don't know why I feel bad. And I'm just like, dude, you need to basically, you need to get your feet. You need to stand on the ground, the actual ground.
Get your groundedness.
Grounded. You need to get some good light. You need to like go to the beach, put your feet in the sand, go into the ocean, get some of that good light, and, do that for 2 weeks. And let's see if you feel depressed afterwards, right?
Actually, I was going to ask
yeah.
you, your customers, clients, and people that, give you feedback, do they notice, outside of, yes, you're gonna heal yourself. One, what's usually the turnaround healing time? And then two, what type of mental, how does it affect them mentally? Because you started mentioning that, can it affect you mentally if it's not nowhere near your head? How does that work?
Yeah, such a good question. And it's like the greatest thing about the human race is that we're all different, right? That is humanity's greatest resource, is our differences, because we can all learn from each other. You can never say someone is 100% right, someone is 100% wrong, right? And just like everybody's different, everybody's pain is different. Everybody's pain tolerance, pain responses, pain recovery, it's all different. Everyone's different, right? There's some people that it's like 10 minutes of exposure to an affected area after one 10-minute session. They're like, oh my God, like, what happened? This is amazing. And they shout to the hills, like, this is everyone come hither, right? And then you'll meet someone, who, just did like an arm workout. And he's like, oh, my biceps are a little bit sore. And you think like, that's very surface level pain. If we're looking at red and near infrared, right, we're definitely going to be addressed. Like, I'm confident that for muscular pain, like it's called DOMS, right? Delayed onset muscle soreness. This is a pain that is very easily covered with light therapy. And, but then suddenly this guy's like, no, I don't feel any better. So, and after 2 weeks still doesn't feel any better. It's just everybody's different. But what I always say is like every human being, they have like a battery inside them. So everyone has a battery. Now, this battery is clinical research shows that with a full dose of red light therapy, you can basically fill up your battery for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes of full body exposure, you fill the battery up. So after that 20 minutes, you're not really getting any benefit. You're kind of like, you're done, you're capped. But every human being, their batteries deplete at different rates. Someone, dealing with cancer may deplete
Faster,
quite
probably.
Yeah, like somebody, with a knee injury might deplete quite quickly because it's inflammation, right? So going back again to what red light therapy can do, there's 3 mechanisms. By giving the wavelengths of light create 3 mechanisms. One is enhanced blood circulation, one is increased ATP, and the other one is anti-inflammation. So cancer, inflammation. Broken shoulder, inflammation, right? Tumor in the head, inflammation. There's inflammation in your body. So red light therapy brings inflammation down. Now, the inflammation, that if it's cancer, right, that inflammation, the battery will deplete. You need to then charge the battery again for very serious conditions. Now, some people, their battery can deplete less. There's other things you can do to help you absorb red light therapy better. And one is it's very important to hydrate. You need to be drinking a lot, like not distilled water, but mineral water. You need to be hydrated. Hydration is extremely important as an element to support recovery for red light therapy. So that's one thing we always look at. And then the other thing is, oh, this is where I'm going to need to get that scientist on your podcast, because there's two other minerals I believe that you need, that if you're deficient in them, um, these two other minerals, ooh, this will be like an exciting part two. We could talk all easy to, but there's two other minerals that you need, that if your body's deficient in it, it's harder for red light therapy to take an effect. So
Interesting.
what I always say is, like, obviously remember to hydrate, make sure you're getting your minerals in, and then give red light therapy, give it a 2 week chance. I always say 2 weeks. Some photobiomodulation doctors with raving reviews, hugely famous, their applications are bought everywhere, everyone does it. They say 4 weeks. They say even longer. They really are like, dude, if you want to really address your pain on a cellular level, you want to be pain free, invest 4 weeks. Now, for me, that I'm like, okay, that I will definitely mention to say, but I've seen a lot of great response after 2 weeks, and that's a 40 minutes a day with my targeted treatment device, with the LumaFlex.
And I
With
think
the
it's because it's targeted too, and also too, I mean, there it is.
Yeah, so you can see that's the light. Must touch your skin.
For those listening, you got to go to
10
YouTube
minutes.
and see him turn this on and and work with it.
But yeah, that's
You look like Iron Man. He's got it on his
iron.
chest. He put it in the top area, and it's
Yes.
glowing. That's funny.
Yeah, heart, and then I get spine. So I put it on my neck, and then
And 40
gut.
minutes each area, you would say, or just
Oh
in
no,
general?
pain. That's for the pain.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you have like a bad shoulder, painful area, I would say 40 minutes throughout the day for 2 weeks, right? So we're gonna really overdose, overdose it. But if you're pain free and you're like, oh, I still want to get my red light therapy, I still want to get my cells, to have that energy. I want my mitochondria health. Where should I be putting my device? And I would always say forehead,
Hmm.
heart, spine, and gut, and then usually the back of your spine, right? Your lower back. That's the number one area that has more pain in America, more pain requests than any other area. So more people go into a hospital saying, I have a bad lower back, and that's like as a pain, than anything else at all. So that's the device. As you can see, it's kind of large enough to stay portable, but also you can aim it at the back. You can have it on
Question
the area.
for you. Let's say you have that back pain, and you put it on your back, and you're going to see results after 2 weeks. Can you slow down on the usage of it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you
Yeah, how,
could.
how does like the weaning off work, and then like maintenance?
Yeah, yeah. Like if you say after 2 weeks, or let's say after 2 weeks, you feel fine. You don't have to wean off. You can just simply stop and then go to the primary areas, your brain, and the thing about red light is, like, what I encourage people to use, in whether it's a LumaFlex or any other device, any application of red light therapy, use it like you would the sun. When you wake up, turn on. That's telling your body to wake up. So
Looks
when
like
you
a really
wake
cool
up,
nightlight.
usually we're in a room, you have the artificial light, and you wake up. Do you go outside? Some people, they don't even go outside. They'll go, straight to the elevator, go down, jump in their car, and they're off to work, right? So I usually say, when you wake up, turn on the sun. That's the sun turning on. So I usually just leave it as like a lamp, and then I do that again at night, because not all of us can sit and watch the sunrise and sunset every day, right? So
Right,
use
right.
it as a tool, like just for your circadian rhythm. If you're feeling, if you ever have a headache, I don't know how to explain it. It really helps against
Turn on your
headaches.
head.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And I like the idea of using it as a lamp too, right?
Yeah.
Where some people have the salt lamps, and then you can have this. Um, it definitely has a multiple purpose, which is pretty cool. Do you have any
Yeah.
like crazy, like unexpected, Um, and I'm pretty sure you have to be careful with the word healing, but like like good results, like you were like, even you were like, I'm not sure if this is gonna help, and then it pretty much shocked you.
Yeah, there was really cool story. Do you know William Shatner,
Hmm.
Captain Kirk? I had yeah, he was like my childhood hero. He was my I wasn't allowed to watch TV with swearing or with violence, right? With blood. So my parents would let me watch Star Trek because there's no swearing, right? It's like what would Bones always he always would say, "Land sakes, Jim." Like there was literally no swearing. Like
Right.
even like was that a bad word back then? Probably not. It was still not a bad word. Yeah, there was and every time that nobody dies, right? Like Kirk goes down with his away team and they always just kind of like fall off to the side of the camera like that. But
True.
I was
Completely
I
different
was
experience from me growing up. Go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, I love Star Trek. I absolutely like I was obsessed with it because it was the only thing we were allowed to watch. So Kirk was my guy, he was my idol. And I would dress up as Kirk for my birthday parties, for Halloween, for Christmas, everything. I was Kirk and I would have a phaser. I'd go around and I'd shoot everyone. And they'd be like, "Hey, I shot you." And I was like, "I can't die. I'm Kirk. Kirk never dies." But in Miami, there was a biohacking event, and he came to this event, and of course I was extremely excited to meet him. I was like, wow, my childhood hero. Da, da, da. He's not at that time. I think he was 95. I think he's 96 now.
Wow.
Um, I think so. Yeah, 92 or 93. I hope I'm right. But the so I'm there, and the guy runs up. One of my mates runs up to me, and he's like, John, William Shatner wants you. He wants to meet you. He wants to meet you. He wants red light. And I was like, what? What do you like? What? And I'm like, okay. And I grabbed a LumaFlex and he pulled me over and I went to this back, upstairs, up this elevator to this VIP area. And there I see William Shatner. He's in a wheelchair. Um, and I look at him and, dude, I almost like broke down. I was so, he's really old and he's wrecked. Like he was wrecked. And he had arthritis in his arm and it was
Mm.
shoulder and it was coming down to his bicep. And he was like, I'm in incredible pain all the time now. I'm
Wow.
in so much pain right now. And when you see your hero who you dressed up as, and you see him just like, he's like so helpless and just so under the control of pain. It's so heartbreaking. Like I was like, whoa, I was like, I'm here. I'm whatever I'm gonna do whatever. Like I'll pull out whatever tricks that I know. Like, gee, I got you, buddy. And I got the LumaFlex and I stuck it on his shoulder, and then he went off and he gave like a little talk to some VIPs, and he talked about this injury and how like for years he's dealt with this and he's dealt with this doctor and it's a whole ordeal, and it's just amazing that he was still going through it. He really, and even at that age he was still Captain Kirk. Like he would no way was his brain affected. He was still so smart, so funny, so articulate with it. He was, and I'm sitting there the whole time, and I got the pad and I'm moving it
So as
around,
he's
right,
doing his
to all the
talk,
different areas.
moving around.
As he's doing his talk. Yeah.
That's funny.
And I was like, and I remember my older brother. He lives in California. He flew over to Miami to see me, and he like tried to come through, and they're like, no, sorry, you can't. It's only VIPs. And I was like, stay out, man,
For
stay
that's
out, man.
I don't know that guy.
Yeah, get out of here.
Just like me, but no
Yeah, not me. So
idea who he is.
But he said, I remember I gave him that treatment. Thank you so much. I gave him the device. The next day, he wanted to do it again again in front of everyone. And he told me, he said, he said
Wow, that's
80%
huge.
better. And I was like, 80%, like, and that, he was so articulate. Like when because people would ask him questions about him going up into space, his history as an actor, his kids, all this stuff. And he's so, he doesn't just like ramble. He even pauses and he slowly talks. He's very careful about how he talks, and he chose 80%. And I was like, wow, I'll take that. I'll take that from you, from like, given your situation after 2 treatments, 2 days. I was like, wow, that really, that's gonna mean a lot to me. I know, I called my mother.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, William Shatner, and she's like, tell him I love him, John. I love him so much. Like, she was like,
That's so cool that you met like your childhood hero, and you were just
yeah,
like, wow,
yeah.
wow, that's pretty cool.
I've met my 2 heroes, my childhood hero, Captain Kirk, and the hero that I have now is Tyson Fury. I've met both of them, and I both had these amazing experiences with them. Like, if someone were to say, who do you want to meet? I can't really, I
You're
mean,
good.
I, Joe Rogan, I guess, but probably just for, I don't know. Pass on that too. I don't know.
Well,
I'm
Joe
not too.
Rogan is big into, well, at least at one point he did the MMA, right? And he would probably appreciate something like this if he was
Yeah.
actively doing it. Dude still works out. Um,
Yes.
but
Yes.
that's nuts. I mean, if I were my childhood person that I would want to meet is actually Michael J. Fox, because Back to the Future was like my movie. It still is my
Okay.
movie, and to meet him would be awesome. I'd have to go to some like Comic Con or something like that where they're still coming, and they were in the area, and I was so upset that I didn't go. I'm like, I should
Yeah.
have like just taken the time off, and but that's a cool story. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bringing it home, I mean, we have light therapy. You can use it in the morning, at night. Um, I would, if anything, what would be the difference of impact? Because it has 2 parts. It has red light, and then it has, you said, infrared.
Yep. At
What's
infrared.
what's
What's the
the
difference?
what's the difference? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the depth at which the wavelengths of light, how deep they go. So,
Okay.
the LED masks, right? That usually those masks, most of them, I can't recall a brand that has infrared, but most of them just do red, meaning it's just surface. It's just to boost collagen in your skin,
Mm.
right? But infrared goes deeper, and that's where we're looking at joints, bones, like we're looking at deep chronic pain, right? Arthritis, sciatica. We need a deeper wavelength of light. So for the LumaFlex, the red light we have, that's a dual chip. So each chip has both red and infrared programmed into that chip.
Okay.
So
Cool.
the 630 nanometer, the red light, right? That's the light. And then 850, that's the deeper light. But there are devices where, like this one scientist, Sarah Turner, she deals with the brain, red light in the brain, which in my opinion is the most exciting space in light therapy that everybody's talking about. There's so much
Well,
incredible
that's like
science.
cutting edge right now.
Yeah, it's like you're talking about like brain diseases, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all being like eradicated.
Huh.
I know a veterans organization in Boca that they use red light therapy to help support like PTSD, like for them to sort of get rewired. And
Really?
it's amazing the cases that they had where people have come in extremely wrecked, like mentally, but then after continuous treatment are now like getting back to their lives and are feeling normal, and that's just through light, infrared light to the brain. And
Huh.
that wavelength of light is like 1,000. It goes up much higher.
Oh, because
um
because of the
1,000.
brain, it has to go a little bit
Yeah,
deeper, and it's
that's go deeper.
different
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
I like. It's interesting how light can be so impactful, and like you said, it's been around for a while, and we're rediscovering it, air quotes,
Yeah.
and how that light is something natural that the body's designed to take in. It's not designed to take in a chemical that was manufactured in a lab.
That's
It's
right.
designed to take in one of the many things, which is light. And I would say before we finish up today, because we're talking about light, I'm very curious. What are your thoughts on sun gazing, if you're aware of it? Is that you're gonna explode?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's another friend of mine, very close friend of mine. He's a photobiomodulation scientist. This guy, whew, he's like I need to like deload in the trips that we have where we meet and
Yeah.
we're learning together and we're doing like some media events together stuff. um he's a wealth of information, on light therapy. He can talk. He's, in my opinion, the person that can package light therapy better than anyone else.
Mm.
So this guy can look at the sun. I wake up in the morning, I get grounded, I want to get my eyeballs exposed to sunlight, right? Every that's that's a very important morning protocol, just to wait, get outside. Don't let the window or wall, and especially don't have, artificial light the first thing that your eyes see. Try to get outside. And we'll have talks in that morning, sip of the coffee, outside on the grass. And one day, I'll never forget this. One day, it was quite a while ago. He goes, "Hey, yeah," and he told me that thing, sun gazing. And he goes, "Check this out." Takes off his glasses and he just looks at the sun. And I was like, it's like 10:30. I was like, oof. And he's just looking at the sun. And he's like, "Yeah, I can do this. I can do this like during any time of the day, even 12 to
Really?
2."
That's the first time I heard of that.
And he's built up this. Um, it's taken him 3 years.
Wow.
It's taken 3 years.
Because
And I was like, okay,
I've
how do I
heard of
get
it
on?
as in like you have to. So I when I first learned about it, you have to be in an area where when you wake up, if you're starting to get into it, I'm pretty sure what this is what he did. You have to start right when it just comes over the horizon, and you have to
That's right.
slowly condition your eyes.
Yeah.
And then I think they say like 10 seconds at a time until you
Yeah.
can kind of like stretch it, and you have to just listen to and feel your eyes. So for this guy to be able to do like any time of the day, that actually changes my thought
Yeah.
process about looking at the sun, because I haven't heard of anybody being able to look and be educated on it and still do it during the day. It's usually like
Yeah.
within the first like minute or so, and then it's like don't do it. And then we just had the solar. It's
Exactly.
2024. We just had the solar eclipse in the U.S.
Yeah.
and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you're gonna go blind if you look at it." Da, da, da. And it's one of those like, yep, yes and no. If you're not trained, anything that you do, and you're not trained in it and not conditioned for it, yeah, you're gonna get damaged. So it's interesting
That's
to see. Like, I'm curious. So is that guy that you're talking about? Is he in the U.S.?
I believe he's in the US. Yeah. Yeah, he's in, I
Oh,
think I think yeah, might be he travels a lot. I
okay.
usually, as a scientist, I like to work with him because, part of launching, if I'm working with partners, usually if I want to do a presentation, if I want to incorporate like an education element into the partnership, I always am like, where are you? Where are you in the world? I fly in. I
That's
want to
funny.
I want to work with him on things like that. Like if we're talking to big companies, like, and I'm talking to very, very large companies about, especially in the sports world,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, man.
Um, so
Sounds
he's
exciting.
he's a great resource to have as a scientist. He can come in, give a presentation, give a talk, and I get a lot of that education along the way. Like I've really benefited.
That's awesome.
But he told me exactly the same thing. He said, "You want to start? You start, sunrise. This is how you do it. You did it." I was like, "Wow, man, that's some really like he really knows so much about light, about the power of light, and and the use of light and the magic of light. Just, I mean, I don't know how else to describe it other than just the pure magic of light. Um, that he wants to, you know, sort of engulf and nourish his body in every way possible with light. So
You know, it would be
he,
cool.
yeah, looking at the sun, I was watching him look at the sun, and it was just like I'm looking at you. Like his eyes weren't, they just were like,
Like nothing.
yeah. He wasn't like,
Wow.
or like watery or anything. He was just like,
I was gonna
yeah.
joke around. I'm like, and the next invention could be clothes that light up. That,
Yeah.
that's way into the future. But like just I'm just joking around. But ideally you would be like walking around naked all the time, which is what we used to do. Um,
That's right. That's
so
right.
as we come to a close, is there anything specific that you're working on that you wanted to share that's new? And if not, how do we find you if the audience wants to know a little bit more about your project and get in contact with you or your company?
Well, right now I'm in China in our manufacturing office for a couple of weeks because I want to build new products. I want to build new products. I want to build products that change the world. And it's not about, you know, it's not about you adapting to the red light application or product. It's about the product adapting to you. I'm very much interested in creating devices that more a part of our lifestyle, not
Hmm.
so much where we have to kind of like, go like the panels, for example. I don't really like because you have to stand in front of the panel. I want something that you can wear. I like wearables. I like on the
Mm,
go, portable, accessible. So anyone who has ideas about products in red light therapy, you can drop me a DM on John Graham Fitness on my Instagram. I'm probably most active on my Instagram because we have a lot of
okay.
influencers, and we live in social media world. So and we need all the visual promotion we can get, when we're trying to raise awareness with red light therapy. So yeah, drop me a DM with a great product idea. I would love to hear it. I get them a lot. So it's nice. It's good to get this data back. And
Cool.
then LumaFlex.com. That's the current product line. There's only two, but I'm hoping, with your help, with ideas, I could launch more products before the year's out.
Let's get some ideas going. All right, cool. And hey, I would love to share some ideas too. They come up all the time.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Hey, thanks for coming on to the show. I had a blast learning about you, your story, your red light. You have awesome energy. Let's get stuff going. Let's make some positive change and help people out. Again, yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.